Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Quick Tech Tips and Reviews. My name is Tony, and with this channel, we bring you guys a variety of tech-related content. So if this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell down below so that you're alerted to when new content is being released. In today's video, we're going to take a look at getting started with the Raspberry Pi 3. Alright guys, so in this video, I'm going to take you through the steps of getting started with your Raspberry Pi, getting it up and running. In this case, I'm working with the CanaKit Raspberry Pi 3 Complete Starter Kit, the 32 gig edition. This is the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, not the latest Model B Plus. That being said, what is a Raspberry Pi? Well, it's a really small form factor computer. If you buy the Pi just by itself, people say you can get it for about $35 on Amazon. This kit here that you're looking at costs $69.99 on Amazon, and I'll put the link to that down in the video description below if you're interested. So to get started, let's take a look at what's inside the box. This particular kit includes the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, a 2.5 amp power supply, the standard black case, an HDMI cable, a card reader, a couple of heat sinks, a GPIO quick reference chart, and of course, a quick start guide. You can see the small form factor of the Raspberry Pi board. It's about the same size as a typical business card. Looking at the board itself, you have your CPU chip right here. On the side, you have 4 USB 2 ports and an Ethernet port. Here you have your micro USB power port, a full HDMI port, a 3.5 millimeter audio video jack. Here are your GPIO pins. On the rear of the board, you have your card slot and your wireless card. Let's get the Raspberry Pi installed into the black standard case that was included in the kit. The case itself comes in 3 parts. I've taken the liberty of installing the heat sinks, which was a very simple process. Simply remove the plastic from the adhesive and press the appropriate size heat sink onto the appropriate size chip. Let's go ahead and install the Raspberry Pi into the base of the case. Make sure you line up the card slot with the slot in the bottom of the case. Simply lay it in and press it in place. It's that simple. Next, take the body and snap it in place just like that. And then the final piece is to take the top and there you go. Now you have your Raspberry Pi fully protected in a nice plastic case. Alright guys, now that we've gone over the board and have it assembled into the case, we're just about ready to get it fired up and get it going. So we're going to need a couple of things additional to what came with the actual kit itself. We're going to need a USB keyboard, a USB mouse, and a monitor, as well as the preloaded micro SD card. Now, that being said, you can create your own micro SD card. You can download the Noobs software simply by coming to raspberrypi.org, and I'll put that in the video description down below. Once you're at their website, if you click on the Downloads tab, you can see here you have the option of downloading the Noobs software. And Noob simply stands for new out-of-the-box software, and it's a great way for a beginner to get started with Raspberry Pi. So that being said, I have everything wired up as you see in the picture here, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera for a second so that I can fire up the Raspberry Pi and see if I can bring the camera in closer so that we can follow the installation process. Alright guys, I hope you can clearly see the screen. I fired up the Raspberry Pi using the 32 gig included micro SD card containing the Noobs software. That being said, when inserting the card, please face the copper up and push it in all the way to seat it properly. You can see it brings us to a screen here that gives us the option of installing the Raspbian software. However, before we do that, I'm going to try to connect the Raspberry Pi to my Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to click on the Wi-Fi networks tab, and it found a bunch of networks. I'm going to connect to my network here. Okay, now that we have an internet connection via the wireless, you can see we have a lot of other choices of softwares that can be installed. We're going to go ahead and proceed with the Raspbian recommended software, but before we do that, we just want to make sure we have our keyboard and our language set properly. And I'm not sure if you can see this at the bottom of the screen, but I'm going to make sure it's set to English and the keyboard is set to US. Then we're going to select the Raspbian software and come over to the install button and click install. And then you get a warning saying that this selected operating system will overwrite all the data on the drive, including any OSs that may be installed. And we're just going to go ahead and say yes. Okay, and now you can see we got the Welcome to the Raspberry Pi logo, and it is installing the Raspbian OS. Now this is going to probably take some time, so I'm going to stop the video and come back when the OS has been successfully installed. All right, guys, so you can see the installation was successful. It took 44 minutes to complete, and at the end of the installation, we got a confirmation message basically saying that the OS is installed successfully. I clicked OK. The Pi rebooted itself, and here we are at the Raspbian desktop. So a couple of things we need to do now to get started. First off, if you come up to the upper left menu and click on the Raspberry, you see a menu that pulls down, and you have programming options. You have some programs that were installed. I believe this is like a Microsoft compatible Office suite. You have a browser and a couple other things, games. But what we're going to do now is go down to the preferences option, and we're going to come down to Raspberry Pi configuration. And a couple of things I want to do, and this will vary based on your needs, but I want to definitely set my interface where I can have SSH enabled, so I have the ability to SSH in from another computer to control or make changes to the Raspberry Pi via the command line. So I'm going to say OK to that. And then I'm going to come back to preferences and go to Raspberry Pi configuration one more time, and we're going to go to localization, and we're going to set the locale and the language. We're going to leave that set to English. The country we need to change to the United States. Here we go. I didn't see it there for a second. We're going to say OK to that. We're going to set the time zone. And the area, we're going to scroll down and select US. And the location we're going to pick, and I'm going to pick the Eastern time zone because that's where I am located. If we click on set keyboard, we have it set to the United States, but we want the English US variant. We're going to say OK. And finally, we're going to set the Wi-Fi country. And we're going to scroll down and select United States. And now we're asked, the changes we made require the Raspberry Pi to be rebooted to take effect. Would you like to reboot now? So I'll say yes. And you can see the Pi is rebooting. And it's just giving me a message that I did not change the default password for SSH, and that's fine. We'll take care of that potentially in another video, so I'll say okay. All right, guys, so if we want to browse the web now, we just have to come up to the Raspberry, select Internet from the menu, and launch the Chromium web browser. If you Google Raspberry Pi projects, you'll get a whole list of search results with here top 10 Raspberry Pi projects for beginners, Raspberry Pi projects, 49 plus awesome Raspberry Pi projects. So there's a lot of things that can be done with the Raspberry Pi. This video was just an introduction to get you started and get you up and running. So that about wraps it up for today, guys. A simple video guide to getting started with your Raspberry Pi 3. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out some of my other videos up above. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And use those Amazon affiliate links. It doesn't change your price, but it does help out the channel. My name is Tony with Quick Tech Solutions. Thank you for watching. See you next time.